Acceptance is the first step, I'd say, of a successful turnaround. I have a lot of conversation with people in a wide chasm of scenarios. The best thing is acceptance. If you've got a problem, if you can't accept it, then you can't get anybody to really get the solutions in and understand it if you don't understand it yourself. A typical business owner wants to talk up their business, they want to talk up their success, they want to go into a network meeting or a business meeting saying what they've got going on, the clients they go with, and always positive movement. If you need to solve a turnaround, then the best thing you can do is just open honest with it. And I liken it to if you go and see a doctor or whatever, you do need to find the right person to confide in. And what I'd advise is people, it's perfectly normal. People be quite conscious about, if you believed everything they said in a networking meeting, they'd never have any problems. It's all positive, but it's unrealistic, it's unhuman. It's perfectly normal, and the most successful businesses have had bumps in the road. So you just need to accept that and invest in the right person to share that confidence with. Then you can begin to put strategy. Well, there's no use in denying it. I think you've got to sit down and identify their current problems, and they need to be quite open and honest about it. And it just comes to straight questions of, where are the financials at? What's troubling you? What's keeping you awake at night? And that's important, and that should drive everything that you're thinking. And I think you need to confide in that. If you don't accept that, you can't come up with a solution, and that's kind of eating into time, which is always at a premium, no matter what business that you're in. And obviously, if you set yourself a goal, your denial of that's not helping anybody. It's just prolonging the need for a solution, and you're just further down the road without coming to a solution. Somebody engaging in a turnaround needs to accept the value of time as well as the need. They need to understand the value of time, because when coming up with a turnaround solution, there are many factors. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. You've probably got resources in-house to have a go, but one would assume you've probably exhausted that at that point. People talk about turnaround. Your classic assumption is cash is tight, you're being risk-averse at that particular point in time. But that then means if you're completely averse to investment, and I'm talking about procuring the right services is also investment rather than a cost, you have to accept that if you're just going to bottle that out, you're not going to go anywhere. The answer is probably an investment, a wise and shrewd investment, but it's certainly not going to come for free. Now, the value of time is an interesting one, because when I work with turnaround clients, we can get funding for them. If they've got cash, we can get bridging loans, we can get funding, we can get equity raises. There's loads of people that we can talk to get those solutions for people. We can't procure time for them. Now, when you're going with an experienced turnaround agent or change manager, you're buying that premium. They come in with the ideas, with the experience ready, and in a day you've absorbed a lot of knowledge of someone with experience, calmness in that situation, and that's the premium you're paying for. You can say we can source most things that business needs, but time is always at premium and we can't magic it up. So you need to think about that investment in the time as much as the actual cash for what you're doing. The third bit, if you've got to keep it in perspective, these are all great points, the acceptance, the value of time, and that's great, but also the thing to bear in mind, always go back to, is the perspective. I've talked about accepting and then accepting the value of time, and when you procure a change expert, you're buying their expertise and quick thinking in a short space of time. You're also buying trust, and why that's important is because you need to, if you're an owner or operator, you must always relate it to why you got into it in the first place. If you want to do a successful turnaround, I'd always ask why, because if there's no good answer to that, there's always a time to top out and not do it. But you need to understand why. It needs to relate to why you got into business in the first place, why you're doing what you're doing. If you want to preserve your legacy or preserve jobs, it's important. That's a really great quality. Let's lay that down and accept that now, but always align it back to your goals of what you want to achieve over, let's say, a cliche 3 to 5 year period, or what you did at the start. You're going to need to acquire trust in a turnaround pretty quickly. So that's what I effectively sell. And the best way to do that is align that trust that you're going with somebody you may or may not know that well, or may have met in peripheries. To align their aims with yours is very important. You're looking for a critical friend to align your objectives, acquire that trust, and if you're on the same page and working towards the same thing, there's only a finite number of reasons why that would go wrong or not work out.